They say, in the province of Quezon, there's a road you should never take after sunset, because sometimes, it's not the living who ask for directions. This is a story about what happens when you answer their call. It all happened in a small, quiet town called San Roque, nestled between towering mountains and vast sugarcane fields. It's the kind of place where everyone knows everyone and where secrets stay buried longer than the dead. I was assigned there a few years back as a volunteer teacher for a summer literacy program. The locals were warm, polite, but there was a guardedness about them, like they were always watching something over my shoulder. On my first night, I stayed in an old boarding house right beside the town chapel. The landlady, a kind but serious woman named Rosa, gave me a peculiar warning as she handed me the keys. She said, "If you hear a child knocking past midnight, don't open the door, just pray." I laughed nervously, brushing it off as just another province superstition, the kind you hear in every remote town. One wish I had listened. For the first 2 nights, nothing happened. The silence was peaceful. But on the third night, I was jolted awake by a sound that sent a shiver down my spine. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. My heart started pounding in my chest. Maybe it's a stray kid, I thought, trying to rationalize the sound. The village is quiet, but not completely deserted. Gathering my courage, I crept to the window and peeked outside. The street was empty, bathed in the pale glow of a single lamppost, but then I saw him, a faint shadow of a small boy standing right under the light. He was wearing a school uniform, and his backpack hung loosely on one shoulder. I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. "Hey, are you lost?" He didn't answer. He just slowly looked up and smiled. My stomach turned to ice. That smile. It didn't reach his eyes. It was too wide, too still, like a mask. Then, his voice, soft and clear, floated up to my window. "Can you help me go home?" I blinked, just for a second, and when I opened my eyes, he was gone, vanished into thin air. The next morning, my hands were still shaking as I told Rosa what had happened. Her face went pale, her eyes wide with the fear I instantly recognized. "You saw him," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Who?" I asked, though I think a part of me already knew. "Emil," she said, her gaze distant. "The boy who vanished 5 years ago." She told me his story. Emil was one of her tenants, once a quiet, polite boy who walked to and from school every single morning without fail. But one day, he never came home. The whole town searched for him. They combed through the sugarcane fields, dragged the riverbanks, and knocked on every door. But no one ever found him. Not a trace. Except for the notes. She explained that every year, on the anniversary of his disappearance, someone would find a school notebook on the chapel steps. The pages would be soaked, as if they'd been submerged in water, but the words written inside were always miraculously visible. I admit, I didn't fully believe her. It sounded like a local legend, a ghost story meant to scare visitors, but that belief was shattered later that night. The rain came down hard after dinner, a furious tropical storm that knocked out the power. The whole town went dark. Another brownout. I lit a single candle and sat by the window, watching the rain lash against the glass. And then I heard it again, the same 3 knocks. But this time, it wasn't from the door. It was from inside the wall right beside me. I froze, my blood running cold. Then, a child's voice whispered, so close it felt like it was in the room with me. "Can you pray for me?" The candle flame flickered violently, almost going out. My breath fogged the cold glass of the window pane, and there, pressed against the outside of the window, was a tiny, perfect handprint. The sight of it sent pure terror through me. I scrambled back from the window, my heart hammering against my ribs. I fell on my knees from my bedside table, my hands trembling so much I could barely hold it. I squeezed my eyes shut and began to pray. The words a desperate whisper, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." As I prayed, the voice grew louder, no longer a whisper but a desperate, heartbreaking cry. "Please, I want to go home." My eyes shot open. I forced myself to look outside again, and there he was, Emil, standing in the middle of the downpour, clutching a tattered notebook close to his chest. He looked so small, so lost. Just then, a bolt of lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating the entire scene for a split second, and in that flash, I saw it. The road behind him wasn't a road anymore. It was a churning, dark river, and he was standing right on top of the water. Another blink, and he was gone. The next morning, the storm had passed. The sun was out, and the birds were singing as if nothing had happened. The townspeople were gathered by the chapel steps, murmuring amongst themselves. On the wet stone, they had found something. A small, water-damaged notebook. The priest picked it up and opened it. Inside, only one line was written in a child's neat handwriting. "Thank you for praying for me." That Sunday, the priest held a special mass for Emil. The entire town came. After that day, no one in San Roque ever heard the 3 knocks again. Emil had finally found his peace. I left the town a few weeks later, but I never forgot that night. I still keep a picture of that notebook. It's a reminder that some souls just need our prayers to find their way home, and that sometimes, even when we are terrified, we are put in a place to help them find the light. As the Bible says, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. What would you do if this happened to you? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoy tales like this, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more. Stay safe out there.